Hi, my name is Celia and I am an ocean goddess. So, welcome. Today, I wanted to have a little bit of a chat with you about connecting to your rubbish. And I don't just mean your emotional rubbish, I mean your physical rubbish. I worked in Asia for a very, very long time, and the plastic problem there was horrific. I mean, horrific. It was, and I actually didn't used to swim in the sea a lot when I was there because it was so dirty. In tribal religions or tribal cultures, there's no such thing as throw something away. And I feel that, in this kind of incredibly consumeristic society, we've got used to just this idea that we can throw things away. And what was so fascinating about living in Bali is they just didn't have a waste management system. We don't actually really have a very effective waste management system either, but we do at least manage to get our rubbish away from our houses to some kind of municipal centre. But in Bali, they don't have that. I mean, only, 40 years ago, they had no plastic. Everything was natural. They used kind of leaves and paper and, all of these things and they used to, put it, there's a particular area in their garden that they would leave it and maybe they'd burn it or, it get kind of washed away into the rivers. But, everything that they were putting into the system was from nature and was of nature. And so when it went back into nature, it was fine. But plastic isn't like that. And so suddenly these cultures have so much plastic, they now have plastic plates but they still put the plastic at the end of the garden. And, when the monsoons come, all this plastic flows downriver into the seas. And what doesn't kind of go downriver is burnt, producing this kind of crazy toxic smoke. When I was there in Asia, everybody was so kind of like, the Westerns were so kind of judgmental about Asian people of the fact that they just didn't seem to have it together to do things with their rubbish. And I just was like, wow, that's not really the case. Actually, what's happening here is it's kind of in your face in a way that it's not really in your face here. Although actually in the last year, they have, we're no longer able to send our rubbish to the third world. So we're now, although that's probably a slightly out of date term, where we're sending it to poorer countries or however you describe it, we're sending it to China. And they're now refusing our rubbish. So it's actually now literally stockpiling in England, in America. And the agenda of America, if you just do even the slightest bit of research, America has no, or the Western world, but particularly America, that's just where I happen to be living at the moment, has no agenda to reduce the amount of plastic that's being created. In fact, they want to make more plastic. It's a byproduct of oil, so obviously they're kind of economically, intrinsically linked. But, we shouldn't be producing more plastic at the moment. We should be looking at ways to produce less, because we actually have absolutely nothing that we can do with this stuff. Last year there was some research done in Colorado, which is where I spend a lot of my time now in the mountains, really learning about how to relate to the seas when I'm so far away. Yet I live in Aspen, where the start of two of the greatest rivers in America start. They start up in the mountains and they flow. The Colorado River flowing down to the Sea of Cortez and the Rio Grande flowing down to the Gulf of Mexico. Not that they actually make them there anymore, and the issues of river to sea is deeply concerning. Whether the waters get there because we haven't used so much of it in irrigation or showers or whatever it is that we do with them, or that the water that is getting to the sea is so polluted with pesticides and all sorts of pollutants that we're putting into the rivers. So, in that cycle, of sea to rain to mountain to river, it's intrinsically linked. Anyway, they were doing some research recently to find out about rain and just kind of what was in the rainwater in Colorado, and they found that there was microplastic in the rain in Colorado. And this is like thousands of miles away from the ocean. So microplastics is getting into our water system on the most kind of molecular level. And so I am starting myself to try and connect with my rubbish. It sounds bizarre, but it's something that we need to do. Aside from trying to really reduce the amount of plastics that we use, we really need to connect with how we can recycle, encouraging recycling on a kind of state level, making it kind of viable and profitable, or at least kind of covering its own costs. And then the most important thing is our organic waste. At the moment, everything is being thrown into one big hole, one big landfill. Oh, it's gone away. It's gone away. I don't know when to think about it. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It went into the ground and it's not going anywhere. And our organic waste is so vital for a healthy planet. I mean, the biggest issue that we're about to face, amongst all the other ones that we've got, is our soil health. We're not getting enough nutrients from our food because our soils are so unhealthy. They're unhealthy not only because we're putting pesticides and things like that on it, but because our amazing, nature has all circular systems. Nature relies on, we take food out, we grow food, we eat it, and then we put our waste back in, our poo or whatever, but that maybe is a little bit controversial. But we certainly need to be using our organic waste matter. So what I do is I encourage you to find somewhere to recycle your organic waste. It may be challenging, I'm not disputing that, especially if you live in a big city, you don't have a garden. I hear stories here where, people are concerned about having organic waste because it attracts vermin. But I really, really encourage you to find somewhere where you can recycle your organic waste. It's so important that we put those organic matter back into our soils. And I'm sure you'll find somewhere. And if you don't find somewhere, then maybe you can start something. I recommend that, you wash your cans, you wash your bottles, you wash the things that you are going to recycle. Actually, my mother's really good at this. I'm inspired by her now. I didn't really connect with what she was doing, but I have started to do that, and I find that as I wash, I start to really kind of appreciate again that my meal, my food, the things that I'm consuming, so much has gone into this. I mean, wow, the food came from I don't know where. I mean, even in the most basic meal, if you stop to think about all the ingredients, where they came from. And when I start to kind of wash my cans, I'm starting to kind of connect into this thing of like, where is this going? Where is my can going to go? I just don't just throw it in the bin. And I think this is really, really rewarding. And it's something that we so need to connect with if we're going to have a healthy planet and healthy people. We're now seeing the plastics are getting into the food chain. The plastics are getting into our water. It's not going away. It's coming back into our bodies. And the food that we're eating is full of chemicals. It's full of pesticides. If we were able to kind of look into more organic ways of eating and healthy ways of eating, we would be healthier, the planet would be healthier. Healthy planet, healthy people. That's what the Ocean Goddess is all about. So today's message from the Ocean Goddess is connect with your rubbish. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't just disappear. And if we really want to create a healthy planet and healthy people, think about where your food comes from, but also where it's going to go.